vidět v další epizodě. Haleluja, už se nahrává. Na třetí pokus, úžasný. V této epizodě, kterou můžete přeskočit, pokud nechcete mít spousty čtení z knih, pokud vás to nezajímá, přeskočte. Já naraz pročtu všechny ty knihy a pak je prodám. Ty, co budu samozřejmě. Ano, chci usadit tyto dvě položky. Tady já bych nesmazal něco, co nechci. Tady asi byla obrovská. Jak nahrává se tak, aby to byl v HD. 720p HD. Pokud možná co nejvíc kvality, aby se ztratil. Což spousta lidí nedělá, neumí nahrávat. To je těžké. Nahrávat umím, ale škoda, že nemůžu úplně profesionálně kvůli tomu, že to musím kontrolovat. Tohle ten není označený, ten je označený. Hra je zlá. Mám přerostlý vidle. Naginata. Je to tady ten jako naginata? Je to tady jako scimitar. Scimitar je zbraň, co má jedno břitvu se čepel, dejme tomu. Nebo to může být šable. Ale tady to je v podstatě naginata, což znamená v podstatě čepel velikosti jednoručního meče na dlouhý tom. A taky to v podstatě asijský typ, pokud je. S tím, že je opravdu jako scimitar jenom jako kdyby je na jedné straně. Kdyby to byla nějaká píka nebo něco takového, si se nemýlím, byla to píka, tak ta by byla hlavně bodná, když to tady to je sečná zbraň. Asijskýho typu v podstatě. Vždycky jsou zajímavý, to jsem se hodně naučil třeba s ultimy. Tak začněmeš? Čistit inventář. Taktici důležitý. Tak. Ježišmarja, já to nepřečtu. To je moc malý na mě. Co mi zbývá? Fabulous Way, Volume 1. In the 5th century before the coming of the Imperial traders and the 10th Legion, the first record of the wonders that would one day be known collectively as Feldwir's Way was penned by the famed Agalan cartographers Feldwir and Clark. They described the network of nature caverns as a cramped, stinking, and altogether foul series of holes, and noted it in their journals as the only means by which the Green Range could be traversed. Feldwirova cesta, to je zajímavý. Agalané. To je hodně důležitý pro dvojku Dungeons 2. Co tady? Ta grafika tak jasná. Možná protože mám zapnutý simple renderer. No to je detail. Agalané jsou v podstatě obři. Během datadisku potkáme rasu půl obrů. A jde za ně i hrát. A jde za ně i najmout člena družiny, ale my asi budeme mít všechny naše členy družiny. Nenajmeme půl. Zde by to byl pěkný mít v týmu, ale nechce se nikoho vyhazovat. Může by se prostě vykašla na Sikru. Sikra. Nebo na Amerika vykašlat se. Ale necháme si Amerika. Zde by to byl ten půlober, který se dá v datadisku najmout, je další bojovník, tedy 4 bojovníci budou. Winding through miles of mineral-bearing rock where Frostspire Mountain collides with the Green Range, Feldwir's Way varies from open-air fissures barely wide enough for a man to slide through to caverns vast enough for a litter of dragon whelps to spread their wings. Marking their way along the luminous stones chipped from the rocky outcroppings, the explorers left behind a legacy that would later guide Imperial traders and the 10th Legion into the interior of Ehb. To this day, the mineral-rich glitter dells, slippery alpine caverns, and phosphor-littered subterranean river are still the primary path by which travelers pass between Mount Frostspire and the Green Range. Exploratory shafts dug in the 8th century revealed the presence of iron, driving Imperial travelers to push harder for drug concessions in the region. Later, the discovery of gold and coal fueled the expansion of Early Kingdom, while regular mineshafts began to shore up the sometimes unpredictable interior of Mount Frostspire. Dělám se na ty stíny, ale jsem se jednou díval, protože tak hranaty by mě zajímalo. Kdyby bejte měkký. Jsou tady stíny alkomplex. Jednoduchý, jenom družina všechno. To je jedno. Zajímavý, takže je vlastně cesta, po který my se samozřejmě vydáme. A doteďka se používá je to vlastně rozsáhlý systém jeský, kterým se dostaneme z jedné části na druhou. Ze zelených plošin, tam co myslím, že bandití a takový, jestli se nemýlím. Podíváme se do hlubokého lesa, dalších lokací, je tam bažina, to je obrovská, moc se netěším. Tak kde jsou ty lidi tady? Volume 2. For all the natural wonders of Felvia's Way, the folk of the kingdom have wrought a number of miracles on their own while improving conditions in the Glitterdale mine. Chief among them was the gigantic sorcerer's delving machine, originally fashioned by the first mages of the kingdom to assist in the underground excavations for the construction of Castle Ehb. Elevators and conveyors drawn on belts and winches allowed miners and materials to move between levels with astonishing rapidity. Louis's running melted ice and snow run down from glacier provided fresh drinking water for the miners and a medium in which God could be separated from the rocky silts. Tragedy struck the mines in the great blast of 1943 when a build-up of explosive vapors touched of a chain reaction that buried many of the more valuable veins beneath tons of rock and reduced the delving machine to an useless pile of scrap. Since that time, the circulation of air has been maintained by a series of magically powered fans. In many respects, the post-blast generation of Glitterdale miners had to reinvent the art of mining. Those who came to the Glitterdale in search of the kingdom's greatest source of wealth were often startled by the austerity of its camps. Aside from the base necessities of smelting forge, mule trading barn, and cold inject tavern, there were few permanent structures to be found. In the decades since, little has changed in this insular community of rugged mountain men, miners, and self-styled individualists. So long as gold still glitters in the seams of rock, and the kingdom's tax collectors leave them with coin to spend in the local tavern, they are content to be citizens of Blah. A series of caverns originally discovered by the Agalan explorers Feldwehr and Klaas extends from the frozen cave just north of Gresson to the great dark forest at the base of the Green Range, occasionally surfacing in the Arctic wilderness above. Travelers along the route are treated to a vast array of subterranean waterfalls, bright crystal outcroppings, and thermal plumes of a size unmatched elsewhere in Arana. The most difficult challenge to the travelers in these routes, other than the loose, slippery footing and narrow passageways, are the myriad of creatures that call the caravans home. Among these creatures are the fiercely territorial Trog. V těch jeskyních jsou Trogové, to jsou nedozvídáme. A race that at one time dominated the under-mountain passageways that paralleled Feldwehr's Way. Several campaigns of the 10th region sought to kill the struck menace and establish a secure trade route through the Alpine caverns. These campaigns never managed to eliminate the Trog, but a subsequent increase in variety of other more reclusive creatures did result. The surviving Trog are considerably less aggressive, though they still present considerable danger when encountered in groups of more than 2. Maintaining the safety of the caverns requires regular Legion patrols dispatched from Glesson, a luxury which can only be afforded in times of peace. In times of war, withdrawal of the patrols means many of the other native creatures return to the passageways, among them mischievous lungers and crystalline creatures of various colors, shapes, sizes. A v skutku různé krystalové potvory potkáme. To jsou takový pavoučci krystaloví, co mají 4 nohy a střílí v podstatě elektřinu. Papeřské elektřiny jsou docela zajímavé, jsou různé barvy, jsou různé typy. To vám pak ukážu, ale je to překrásně udělaný. V datadisku jsou ještě pár dalších typů, jako třeba oranžový typ a taky přidělaný. A to by byly tady tyhle typy v 11 minutách. 3 hotový, dalších 8 už čeká. Remembrance Max. Kdyby to bylo, tady bylo E, tak je to Mages. Jo, ale takhle, když tam to E není, to jenom jako Max. A direct descendant of the mule packs imported by Eaton Stonebridge, Max was the one of the most remarkable animals ever to tread the glittered stony passages. Preferring to wander the darkness of the mines than be above, she often would chew her way free of her restraints, only to be found hours later standing near exposed veins of gold. In time, other miners began to experiment with gold sniffer's Max, gold homing nose, discovering to their fortune that she possessed an uncanny knack for gravitating to undiscovered deposits of rare metals. But Max could also be temperamental and sometimes demonstrated her pique by leading miners to drill barren shafts, which the locals began to call meg holes. Beloved for her unusual talent, she easily would have been remembered in the history books of the Glittered Elf, but it was her actions during the Great Blast of 1943 which would forever ingrain her into the hearts and minds of her keepers. Following the accidental ignition of unvented gases in a newly hung coal shaft, the passages of the mine became a howling death trap of flame and flying rock for those trapped within. Whether disoriented by the blast or truly perceiving what had occurred, Max broke free from her restraints and plunged into the rolling black smoke of the mine. Even astonished dwarves and men vaulted from the fury of the roaring catastrophe. Vanishing from the sight of terrified onlookers and nearly a quarter hour, Max at last stumbled from the mine, dragging 3 half-dead miners by the trailing rope of her broken harness. Able only to stagger a few yards from the entrance with her tremendous burden, Goldsniffer Max collapsed in a vast heap, never to rise again. Having pulled the last survivors of the Great Blast to safety, Max died the following morning, surrounded by weeping men who knew her for the one-time miracle she truly was. 18 years later, the monument to her final heroism would be constructed at the very spot she died. To připomíná ty ostatní knihy tady nemají. To všechno zneotvírat. The ruins of Western Cross. Only an hour's march south from Frostspire's Pass, the lonely ruins of Western Cross have borne witness to some of the darkest hours of its turbulent history. Originally constructed as an inn by Imperial traders Fayola Western sometime in the 7th century, it has served at times as a barracks, menagerie, gatehouse, and a royal residence. The sheer volume of blood shed in its shadow has made it a tormented place, haunted with memories of birth of the kingdom. With the arrival of the Sec and the Imperial forces from the east, the site was heavily refortified by the 10th Legion, and a gated underground route linked to the recent excavations made from the Glitter mine. During the War of Religions, the Sec briefly occupied the tunnels, using them to house a corps of guild spider drovers. While the subterranean confinement pens were later torn out by the reoccupying Legion forces, a magical homing taint remained in the tunnels, which continues to attract the descendants of the Sec-controlled Arakoon spiders to this day. Following the completion of the fortifications north of Rodspar Pass in 935, Western Cross was at last deemed unsuitable for continued military use. Retiring it with full honors, the fortress was turned over to royal family of Ehb. It would stand vacant for the next 15 years. In 970, Edward the Goblin Pretender became the last man to officially occupy Western Cross. Refurbishing its crumbling ceilings and chambers to extravagantly wasteful costs, he employed over 40 Goblin engineers working day and night to prevent its seemingly imminent collapse. In the end, it would be here at the fierce fortress of Ehb that the 10th Legion would do battle with their treasonous Grand Mage Always, and Western Cross would sadly be laid waste by order of its last and most ambitious architect. Já doufám, že se nahrává. Jak se jdu dostřelit? The History of the Droog, historie drůgů, který jsme si před chvílí taky říkali, neplést s drogama. Drugové, o tom co mluví, že bojují v Krotu, kapitán a ostatní, a jeho jedna jednotka. History of the Droog. Late in the 6th century, an imperial trading company seeking alternative routes beyond the Green Range was started to discover a large and thriving community living in the Cliffs of Fire. The exceptional weapons and jewelry possessed by these simple cliff dwellers defied explanation, but the self-sufficient Droog could see no reason why they should exchange any of their valuables for the unappealing trinkets the imperial traders had to offer. Over the next several years, trading companies tried and failed to interest the Droog, until one company presented a single gaudy bolt of fabric brought from the imperial capital among their wares. The Droog were instantly spellbound by the intricate pattern and happily exchanged several of their finer weapons to the dumbstruck traders. With visions of gold in their eyes, the small caravan hastily returned to the imperial capital and secretly prepared wagonloads of the material for trading with the Droog. Unfortunately for them, between the capital and the Droog lay a treacherous 70-year-old trade route, which was frequently plagued by goblin raids. As luck would have it, the caravan was captured and the goblin learned the Droog interest in the material from the captives. The goblin had given up trying to trade with the Droog centuries. Jak to neřeknu. Chvilku počkej, to musím se aspoň napít. Ne. Tohle bude dlouhá epizoda. Centuries earlier, the area, and several industrious goblins immediately realized the value of their plunder. Over the course of the 6 months, the small goblin band quietly circumvented the region's patrols with the bolts of plot in tow to arrive at the Cliffs of Fire, only to find they have been upstaged by a freelance trader named Ethan Stonebridge. The Druk still saw value in the Goblin's cargo, but due to Ethan's previous dealings, were unwilling to part with their more valuable items in exchange. The Goblins were forced to retreat with a paltry quantity of baskets, unfinished beads, and some discarded Imperial mining equipment in exchange for their once valuable bounty. The Goblins never forgot Ethan's stone bridge, and many years later would return to exact their revenge. Swords to Plowshares. By 844, Caris Nuani had been the guiding light of his beloved tent for over 20 years. Under his direction, the region has become one of the most versatile military units ever known. Weathering the hardships of the pacification of the Lescanza and the War of Legions with minimal casualties. But with all but a few of the Legion's most notorious enemies vanquished, the Tent faced a crisis of identity. The empire they were sworn to serve was gone, and brawling in the ranks was become endemic. Under all the stars, there is nothing more wretched than a soldier without an enemy to fight. A frustrated 52-year-old Nuani wrote in his annals, "I've had enough of blood, not a hectare of soil, a spade and a mule will content me, well until my end, if I must. But what I am to do with all these youths of fire, yeah." In the first day of the new year, addressing a freezing and apprehensive assembly of his men, Caris Nuani declared that the 10th Legion, as they knew it, could no longer survive. Food supplies were dwindling, the shortage of farmers and an abundance of legionaries primary at fault. If they were to capitalize on their good fortune, it would mean dismantling everything they had ever known and constructing a new kingdom to withstand the ravages of time. Immediately they were cast for Nuani to assume the newly proposed throne of Ehb, but he graciously declined, saying the new kingdom of Ehb would still need an army, and it was his intention to lead it through the difficult times ahead. Refugees from other parts of the empire were already presenting themselves, seeking shelter from the chaos in the Plains of Tears. Behind them, he suspected, would soon come visitors of less benevolent nature as word of Ehb's singular good fortune leaked out. Já to ukončím, aby ten díl nebyl moc dlouhý.